All right. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. It is 12 a.m. All right. Before we get started, a couple of quick things. This weekend, I owed you the reruns of the Brandon Tatum response to the debate with Andrew Wilson and Candace Owens. That did not happen. Things got a little crazy for me because I actually messed some things up. But that one, as soon as this is over, uh, I will come back on and do that one with you. And the one with Ruslan. Now, Ruslan, his was in two parts. Both of them an hour and a half each. His, I will have for you on Wednesday, but that one will be pre-recorded because I gotta work. I gotta do things. I will have it done for you, but it will be pre-recorded, and you'll get it on Wednesday. All right. So tonight, let's uh let's let's get this one started. This is day 18 of the 90-day Bible challenge. So I'm gonna put myself on mute and we're gonna get started. I hope that this blesses everybody. I pray that this is a blessing to those who's watching, who will watch later. Also, if you like all of this stuff, please hit the like, the shares, the follow, the subscribes on all the platforms: X, Facebook, YouTube. YouTube, I really need your help. Hit the subscribe button on the YouTube button so when I drop content, you'll automatically be able to watch it. You'll get notified. All right. Other than that, let's get this one started.
All right, let's try this again. Are we still on the same live? I don't think so. Let's see. The stream went out, guys. I've never retried to just click the same live, so I don't think it's going to be in the same live stream. Let's see, though. Oh, man, that's so unfortunate. Is it working? Are we live again? I don't think this is going to do anything, is it? Are we live anywhere? If not, I'm going to have to make a new stream. So let's see. That's so unfortunate. Okay, it says we're live. Okay, let me go share this in the other chat. That's so unfortunate. Let me go find the other chat and share this. All right, let's see if we can get people in here. Oh no, the live's over. All right, load in, guys. Load in. Let me reshare this. I'm live again, but that's unfortunate that the internet went out. So we're here. I'll give everybody a second to load in. I have to do something on my end, so just hang out for just a second. Let me add the thumbnail, day 18. Let me reshare this. We're good to go. Okay, the internet went out, so it is what it is. Nothing I can do about that. Let me reload this. What day is it again? 18. Okay, where's the thumbnail? Day 18. Save. All right, let me post this to Instagram because everyone's going to be, where are you? What happened? I'll delete the other one when we're done, but the live went out. So that's what happened. Give me 1 second. I'm going to post the new one. All right, stay with us, ladies and gentlemen. Stay with us. We're going to start right now. The devil is a liar. We're good. I didn't know that if I go live again, it would just recreate a event. That's kind of cool. Now I know. I learned something new, even though that's not fortunate. That's unfortunate that my live went out. Okay, let me delete this old one. And then we have one last thing to do, and we're going to get started. I'm not going to say everything I said already, but we're on day number 18. That's all you need to know. And we'll be live tonight. We're going to be live tonight with Christina Costanza She used to have a show on the Travel Channel of hunting ghosts, paranormal activity. She got radically saved, and she's going to be sharing her testimony. So you don't want to miss that. Give me 1 second. Let's get into here. Man, I'm so happy that I'm a nerd. I can do all this quickly. Don't panic, Hispanic. We're going to get it going right here. All right, hold on. Let's see. Boom. Boom. Post. Be praying for Alyssa. As I said, she's had a rough recovery, which is why I wasn't live yesterday. I took the kids out because they needed to get out of the house. So be praying for her. She has an appointment tomorrow to get some stuff removed so she can breathe again. But yeah, it's been really, really rough. All right, here we go. Judges chapter 4 through 15. A little hiccup there, but we're back. We're all good. We're still here. Let me see. Well, the live count isn't working, but oh well, who cares? You guys are here. Type 1 if you're here. And we are going to get started. Here, Judges chapter 4 to chapter 15. Here we go. We're in Judges. If you don't know what Judges is, basically, long story short, the people would go into bondage. They would cry out to God, and then God would raise up a deliverer, aka a judge. And these were like prophetic leaders, judges that would bring the people out of bondage. So these were people that God would anoint, and God would use them to lead the people out of captivity. And the people kept falling back into captivity. A theme you're going to see is they cried out to the Lord. And the word cried in Hebrew means they gathered together to pray. And then the Lord would raise up a deliverer. They would go into bondage, worship idols, fall back into bondage. They would cry out again. The Lord would raise up a deliverer. They'd go back into bondage. It was a cycle. So we got to get out of that cycle. Here we go. Verse 1, Deborah becomes Israel's judge. After Ehud's death, the Israelites again did evil in the Lord's sight. As you see, one of them died. What do? They do evil in the Lord's sight. So the Lord turned them over to King Jabin of Hazor, a Canaanite king. The commander of his army was Sisera, who lived in Harosheth. Are we going to start like this? Harosheth Haggayim. Sisera, who had 900 iron chariots, ruthlessly oppressed the Israelites for 20 years. Then the people, let me record. There we go. Forgot to record. Then, oh no. Okay, hold on. I know how to fix this. What is today, guys? What is today? What is actually happening? I know how to fix this, though. Don't worry. There we go. Fixed it. See that? Oh no, we're still stuttering. Okay, hold on. Hold on. This is crazy. We're gonna do on the recording medium quality. Let's try that. Are we still lagging? Yes, we are still lagging. All right, well, that's not cool. Let me fix it again then. Go here to medium quality. Try that. Is that lagging still? All right, we're good. What is going on? Oh no, we're still lagging. Jared had it rough yesterday. I know. I saw all the names he had to read. Okay, here we go. Are we still lagging? A little bit. I think I'm just lagging on my end, but I think it's smooth for you guys. Is it smooth or is it skipping? I think it's skipping, huh? Okay. Let me see. Man, that's unfortunate. Okay, let me try one more thing. This is just going to be one of those days. I mean, everything's set right. All right, well, whatever. We're going to have to do even lower quality here. Let's try that. That's still skipping. 19.4. Yeah, it's still skipping. Why? Why? Skipping a bit? Okay. That's so annoying. All right, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to stop recording, and I'll download the file. That's what I'm going to do. So here, let me give me 1 second. This is just lame. Good quality. Stop recording. Let's see. Skipping. Okay, hold on. Please don't crash. Come on. You can do it. How do I have like the most expensive graphics card, processor, all that, and I still have these issues? Okay, how's that? We're good? Whatever. Something's going on with my computer. It should be good now. All right, here we go. We're going for it. Is it still lagging? No, we're good. Okay. We're smooth. Let me know in the chat what you guys think. Lag is real bad. Okay, it should clear up now. I just turned off my recorder. So, whatever. I'm not going to end the stream and restart it again. And now my bitrate is just through the roof. What is happening today? All right, whatever. We're going. It is what it is. We're good. Okay, here we go. So the Lord turned them over to King Jabin of Hazor, a Canaanite king. Okay, so the Lord turned him over. Deborah, the wife of Lapidoth, was a prophet who was judging Israel at that time. Oh, a female prophet? Don't tell John MacArthur about that. She would sit under the palm of Deborah between Ramah and Bethel in the hill country of Ephraim, and the Israelites would go to her for judgment. One day she sent for Barak, son of Abinum, who lived in Kadesh in the valley. It's still lagging. Refresh if it's still lagging. If it's still lagging, just refresh. All right, it should be fine. It's not lagging on my end anymore. So, is it still encoding? Let's see, 8700. No, it's not lagging on mine anymore. So we should be good. Now good? Okay, all good. Okay. It's good. It's good. All right. Here we go. 10 minutes late, but it's okay. It is what it is. All the technical difficulties on day 18. First time having them, so it's okay. And I'll call it to Sisera, commander of Jabin's army, along with his chariots and warriors. Go to the Kishon River. There I'll give you victory over them. Barak told her, I will go, but only if you go with me. Very well, she replied, I'll go with you, but you'll receive no honor in this venture, for the Lord's victory over Sisera will be at the hands of a woman. So Deborah went with Barak to Kadesh. At Kadesh, Barak called together the tribes of Zebulun and Naphtali, and 10,000 warriors went up with him. Deborah also went with him. Now Heber the Kenite, a descendant of Moses' brother-in-law, Hobab, had moved away from the other members of his tribe and pitched his tent by the oak of Zananim near Kadesh. When Sisera was told that Barak, son of Abinum, had gone up to Mount Tabor, he called for all 900 of his iron chariots and all of his warriors, and they marched from Harosheth Haggayim to the Kishon River. When Deborah said to Barak, get ready, this is the day the Lord will give you victory over Sisera. The Lord is marching ahead of you. So Barak led his 10,000 warriors down the slopes of Mount Tabor into battle. When Barak attacked, the Lord threw Sisera and all his chariots and warriors into a panic. Sisera leaped down from his chariot and escaped on foot. Then Barak chased the chariots and the enemy army all the way to Harosheth. Why is that so hard to read? Harosheth Haggayim, killing all of Sisera's warriors. Not a single one was left alive. Meanwhile, Sisera ran to the tent of Jael, the wife of Heber the Kenite, because of Heber's family was on the friendly terms with King Jabin of Hazor. Jael went out to meet Sisera, and said to him, come into my tent, sir. Come in. Don't be afraid. So he went into her tent, and she covered him with a blanket. Please give me some water, he said. I'm thirsty. So she gave him some milk from a leather bag and covered him again. Stand at the door of the tent, he told her. If anybody comes and asks you if there's anyone in here, say no. But when Sisera fell asleep from the exhaustion, Jael quietly crept up to him with a hammer and a tent peg in her hand. I preached a sermon about this one time. Oh, man, I'm having flashbacks and memories. This is the ordinary stay-at-home mom killing the king here. Then she drove the tent peg through his temple and ran it to the ground, and so he died. When Barak came looking for Sisera, Jael went out to meet him. She said, come, I'll show you the man you're looking for. So he followed her into the tent and found Sisera laying there dead and the tent peg through his temple. So on that day, Israel saw God defeat Jabin, the Canaanite king. And from that time on, Israel became stronger and stronger against King Jabin until they finally destroyed him. Chapter 5, the Song of Deborah. On that day, Deborah and Barak, son of Abinum, sang the song. Israel's leaders took charge, and the people gladly followed. Praise the Lord. Listen, you kings. Pay attention, you mighty rulers. For I will sing to the Lord. I will make music to the Lord, the God of Israel. Lord, when you set out from Seir and marched across the valleys of Edom, the earth trembled, and the cloudy skies poured down rain. The mountains quaked in the presence of the Lord, the God of Mount Sinai, in the presence of the Lord, the God of Israel. In the days of Shamgar, son of Anath, and in the days of Jael, people avoided the main roads, and travelers stayed on the winding pathways. There were few people left in the villages of Israel until Deborah arose as a mother for Israel. When Israel chose new gods, war erupted at the city gates. Yet not a shield or spear could be seen among 40,000 warriors in Israel. My heart is with the commander of Israel, with those who volunteered for war. Praise the Lord. If you're just jumping in, don't worry. We barely started because we had a little technology demon in my computer, but we're good now. Consider this, you who ride on fine donkeys, you who sit on fancy saddle blankets, and you who walk among the roads. Listen to the village musicians gathered at the watering holes. They recount the righteous victories of the Lord and the victories of his villagers in Israel. Then the people of the Lord march down the city gates. Remember, this is a song they're singing. Wake up, Deborah, wake up. Wake up, wake up, and sing a new song. Arise, Barak, lead your captives away, son of Abinum. Down from the Tabor marched the few against the nobles. The people of the Lord marched down against the mighty warriors. They came down from Ephraim, a land that once belonged to the Amalekites. They followed you, Benjamin, with your troops. From Machir, the commanders marched down. From Zebulun came those who carry the commander's staff. The princes of Issachar were with Deborah and Barak. They followed Barak rushing into the valley. But in the tribe of Reuben, there was a great indecision. Why did you sit at home among the sheepfolds to hear the shepherds whistle for their flocks? Yes, in the tribe of Reuben, there was a great indecision. Gilead remained east of the Jordan, and why did Dan stay home? Another sat and moved at the seashore, remaining in his harbors, but Zebulun risked his life, and so did Naphtali on the heights of the battlefield. This is a long song. This is like a whole album. The kings of Canaan came and fought in Tanakh near Megadon's spring, but they carried off no silver treasures. The stars fought from heaven. The stars in their orbits fought against Sisera. The Kishon River swept them away, the ancient torrent, the Kishon. March on with courage, my soul. Then the horses' hooves hammer the ground, galloping of Sisera's mighty steeds. Let the people of Meres be cursed, said the angel of the Lord. Let them be utterly cursed, because they did not come to help the Lord against the mighty warriors. Most blessed among women is Jael, the wife of Heber the Kenite. May she be blessed above all women who live in tents. Sisera asked for water, and she gave him milk. In a bowl fit for nobles, she brought him yogurt. Was it Chobani? Then with her left hand, she reached for a tent peg, and with her right hand for the workman's hammer. She struck Sisera with the hammer, crushing his head. With a shattering blow, she pierced his temples. He sank, he fell. He lay still at her feet, and where he sank, there he died. How poetic is this? From the window, Sisera's mother looked out. Through the window, she watched for his return, saying, why is his chariot so long in coming? Why don't we hear the sound of the chariot wheels? Her wise women answer, and she repeats these words to herself. They must be dividing the captured plunder, with a woman or two for every man. There will be a colorful robe for Sisera, and colorful embroidered robes for me. Yes, the plunder will include colorful robes embroidered on both sides. Lord, may all your enemies die like Sisera. Am I saying that right? Sisera. Yeah, Sisera. But may those who love you rise like the sun in all its power. Then there was peace in the land for 40 years. So this is going to go platinum. Preach. Chapter 6. Gideon becomes Israel's judge. The Israelites did evil in the Lord's sight. Who's shocked by this? This is the theme of the whole book. They did evil in the Lord's sight. So the Lord handed them over to the Midianites for 7 years. So when they do evil, God hands them over to the enemy. It's actually the Lord. Some of you might not realize it. It's actually the Lord handing you over to the enemy because you're constantly doing evil in his sight. Like, I can't believe God would do this. I can. The Midianites were so cruel that the Israelites made hiding places for themselves in the mountains, caves, and strongholds. Whenever the Israelites planted their crops, marauders from Midian, Amalek, and the people of the east would attack Israel. Man, it's so hard not to preach these. I'm thinking a sermon I preached about this. Camping in the land and destroying crops as far as Gaza. They left the Israelites with nothing to eat, taking all the sheep, goats, cattle, and donkeys. These enemy hordes, coming with their livestock and tents, were as thick as locusts. They arrived on droves of camels too numerous to count, and they stayed until the land was stripped bare. So Israel was reduced to starvation by the Midianites. Then the Israelites cried out to the Lord for help. When they cried out to the Lord because of Midian, the Lord sent a prophet to the Israelites. He said, this is what the Lord, the God of Israel, says. I brought you out of slavery in Egypt. I rescued you from the Egyptians and from all who oppressed you. I drove out your enemies and gave you their land. I told you, I am the Lord your God, and you must not worship the gods of the Amorites, in whose land you now live. But you have not listened to me. Then the angel of the Lord came and sat beneath the great tree at Ophrah, which belonged to Joash of the clan of Abiezer. Gideon, son of Joash, was threshing wheat at the bottom of a winepress to hide the grain from the Midianites. The angel of the Lord appeared to him and said, mighty hero, the Lord is with you. Sir, Gideon replied, if the Lord is with us, why has all this happened to us? And where are all the miracles that our ancestors told us about? Where are the miracles? That's a sermon. Didn't they say, the Lord brought us out of Egypt, but now the Lord has abandoned us and handed us over to the Midianites? Then the Lord turned to him and said, go with the strength you have and rescue Israel from the Midianites. I am sending you. But Lord, Gideon replied, how can I rescue Israel? My clan is the weakest in the whole tribe of Manasseh, and I'm the least in my entire family. This is about basically the unfit being called by God, which is all of us. Amen. The Lord said to him, I will be with you, and you'll destroy the Midianites as if you're fighting against one man. Gideon replied, if you're truly going to help me, show me a sign to prove that this is really the Lord speaking to me. Don't go away until I come back and bring my offering to you, he answered. I will stay here until you return. Gideon hurried home. He cooked a young goat, and with a basket of flour, he baked some bread without yeast. Then carrying the meat in a basket and the broth in a pot, he brought them out and presented them to the angel who was under the great tree. The angel of God said to him, place the meat and the unleavened bread on this rock and pour broth over it. And Gideon did as he was told. Then the angel of the Lord touched the meat and bread with the tip of the staff in his hand, and fire flamed up from the rock and consumed all that he brought. And the angel of the Lord disappeared. When Gideon realized it was the angel of the Lord, he cried out, O sovereign Lord, I am doomed. I have seen the angel of the Lord face to face. It's all right, the Lord replied. Do not be afraid. You will not die. And Gideon built an altar to the Lord and named it Yahweh Shalom, which means the Lord is peace. The altar remains in Ophrah in the land of the clan of Abiezer to this day. That night the Lord said to Gideon, take the second bull from your father's herd and the one that is 7 years old. Pull down your father's altars to Baal and cut down the Asherah poles standing beside it. Then build an altar to the Lord your God on this hilltop sanctuary, laying the stones carefully. Sacrifice the bull as a burnt offering on the altar, using as fuel the wood of the Asherah poles you cut down. So Gideon took 10 of his servants and did as the Lord had commanded. But he did it at night because he was afraid of the other members of his father's household and the people of the town. Early the next morning, the people of the town began to stir. Someone discovered that the altar of Baal had been broken down and the Asherah poles beside it had been cut down. In their place, a new altar had been built, and on it were the remains of the bull that had been sacrificed. How many of you know before you go and try to take down the idols of the nation, you got to take down the idols in your own home? Preach. The people said to each other, who did this? And after asking around and making a careful search, they learned it was Gideon, the son of Joash. Bring out your son, the men of the town demanded of Joash. He must die for destroying the altar of Baal and for cutting down the Asherah pole. But Joash shouted to the mob that confronted him, why are you defending Baal? Preach, brother. Will you argue his case? Whoever pleads his case will be put to death by morning. If Baal truly is a god, let him defend himself and destroy the ones who broke down his altar. From then on, Gideon was called Jerubbaal, which means let Baal defend himself, because he broke down Baal's altar. Some of you need to do this today in your house. Break down those altars of Baal. Soon afterward, the armies of Midian, Amalek, and the people east formed an alliance against Israel and crossed the Jordan, camping in the valley of Jezreel. Then the Spirit of the Lord clothed Gideon with power. He blew a ram's horn as a call to arms, and then the men of the clan of Abiezer came to him. He also sent messengers throughout Manasseh, Asher, Zebulun, and Naphtali, summoning their warriors, and all of them responded. Then Gideon said to God, if you truly are going to use me to rescue Israel as you promised, prove it to me in this way. I will put a wool fleece on the threshing floor tonight. If the fleece is wet with dew in the morning, but the ground is dry, then I'll know that you're going to help me rescue Israel as you promise. And that is just what happened. When Gideon got up early the next morning, he squeezed the fleece and wrung it out a whole bowl full of water. Then Gideon said to God, please don't be angry with me, but let me make one more request. Let me use the fleece for one more test. This time, let the fleece remain dry while the ground around it is wet with dew. So that night, God did as Gideon asked. Now, this is proof to me, God is okay with you asking for confirmation, right? Gideon feels bad. He's like, God, I'm sorry, because he's doubting. But at the same time, the Lord is okay with him asking for confirmation. So if there's a big decision in your life where you're like, Lord, is this really you? Ask the Lord for confirmation. Ask the Lord for confirmation. Welcome, Ivan. I'm glad this is your first live, bro. Appreciate you. So that night, God did as Gideon asked. The fleece was dry in the morning, but the ground was covered with dew. Chapter 7. Gideon defeats the Midianites. How do you break down the altars of Baal? Well, if there's an idol in your home, something that you're spending more time with or worshiping over God, then you got to remove it. And that could be your TV. If you're spending hours and hours and hours a day on TV, no time in prayer, no time in the word, it's probably an idol. So Jerubbaal, that is Gideon, and his army got up early and went as far as the spring of Harod. The armies of Midian were camped north of them in the valley near the hill of Moreh, I don't know. The Lord said to Gideon, you have too many warriors with you. If I let all of you fight the Midianites, the Israelites will boast, saying they saved themselves by their own strength. Therefore, tell the people, whoever is timid or afraid may leave this mountain and go home. So 22,000 of them went home, leaving only 10,000 men that were willing to fight. But the Lord told Gideon, I feel like this is what the Lord would say at the mega churches, like, there's too many of you. All right, whoever's a coward, go home. But the Lord told Gideon, there are still too many. Bring them down to the spring, and I'll test them to determine who will go and who will not. When Gideon took his warriors down to the water, the Lord told him, divide the men into two groups. In one group, put all those who cup their water in their hands and lap it up with their tongues like dogs. And the other group, put all those who kneel down and drink with their mouths in the stream. Only 300 of the men drank from their hands. All the others got on their knees and drank with their mouths in the stream, which is so weird. That's 9,700 men drank like dogs. The Lord told Gideon, with these 300 men, I will rescue you and give you victory over the Midianites. Send all the others home. So he starts with how many? 32,000. And the Lord's like, yeah, I don't need this many people. There's too many of you. If you do this, you're going to take credit. So I'm going to actually make it so impossible that only I can take credit for it. So let this preach to you guys. Send all the others home. The Lord doesn't need a huge crowd. So Gideon collected the provisions and ram's horns of the other warriors and sent them home, but he kept 300 men with him. The Midianite camp was in the valley just below Gideon. That night the Lord said, get up, go down in the Midianite camp, for I've given you victory over them. But if you're afraid to attack, go down in the camp with your servant Purah. Listen to what the Midianites are saying, and you'll be greatly encouraged. Then you'll be eager to attack. So Gideon took Purah and went down to the edge of the enemy's camp. The armies of Midian, Amalek, and the people of the east had settled in the valley like a swarm of locusts. Their camels were like grains of sand on the seashore, too many to count. Gideon crept up just as a man was telling his companion about a dream. The man said, I had this dream, and in my dream, a loaf of barley came tumbling down into the Midianite camp. It hit a tent, turned it over, and knocked it flat. His companion answered, your dream can mean only one thing, that God has given Gideon, son of Joash, the Israelite, victory over Midian and all its allies. When Gideon heard the dream and its interpretation, he bowed in worship before the Lord. Then he returned to the Israelite camp and shouted, get up, for the Lord has given you victory over the Midianite hordes. He divided the 300 men into three groups and gave each man a ram's horn and a clay jar with a torch in it. Then he said, keep 100 men with him reach the edge of the Midianite camp. Suddenly, they blew the ram's horns and broke their clay jars. Then all three groups blew their horns and broke their jars. They held the blazing torches in their left hands and the horns in their right hands, and they all shouted, a sword for the Lord and for Gideon. Each man stood at his position around the camp and watched as all the Midianites rushed around in panic, shouting as they ran to escape. When the 300 Israelites blew their ram's horns and the Lord caused the warriors in the camp to fight against each other with their swords, those who were not killed fled to places as far away as I don't know if I want to say that word. Beth Ka, let's just say that, because I'm accidentally cuss over here. Near Zerarar, and to the border of Abba Mehelah near Tabith. Then Gideon sent for the warriors of Naphtali, Asher, and Manasseh, who joined in chasing the army of Midian. Gideon also sent messengers throughout the hill country of Ephraim, saying, come down to attack the Midianites. Cut them off at the shallow crossing of the Jordan River at Beth Bara. So all the men of Ephraim did as they were told. They captured Oreb and Zeb, the two Midianite commanders, killing Oreb at the rock of Oreb, and Zeb at the winepress of Zeb. And they continued to chase the Midianites. Afterward, the Israelites brought the heads of Oreb and Zeb to Gideon, who was by the Jordan River. Chapter 8. Gideon kills Zebah and Zalmunna. Someone said, it's okay, Isaiah, just say it quickly. I'm scared. Then the people of Ephraim asked Gideon, why have you treated us this way? Why didn't you send us away when you first went out to fight the Midianites? And they argued heatedly with Gideon. But Gideon replied, what have I accomplished compared to you? Aren't even the leftover grapes of Ephraim's harvest better than the entire crop of my little clan of Abiezer? God gave you victory over Oreb and Zeb, the commanders of the Midianite army. What have I accomplished compared to that? When the men of Ephraim heard Gideon's answer, their anger subsided. Gideon then crossed the Jordan River with his 300 men, and though exhausted, they continued to chase the enemy. When they reached Succoth, Gideon asked, I don't know why I pronounced that so strong. Gideon asked the leaders of the town, please give my warriors some food. They are very tired, and I'm chasing Zebah and Zalmunna, the kings of Midian. But the officials of Succoth replied, I don't know how to say it. Succoth. Catch Zebah and Zalmunna first, and they will feed your army. So Gideon said, after the Lord gives me victory over Zebah and Zalmunna, I'll return and tear your flesh with the thorns and the briars from the wilderness. Wow. Gideon, violent. From there, Gideon went up to Peniel and again asked for food, but he got the same answer. So he said to the people of Peniel, after I return in victory, Succoth. All right, now you guys are just trolling me in the chat. By this time, Zebah and Zalmunna were in the Karkar with about 15,000 warriors. All that remained of the allied armies of the east for 120,000 had already been killed. Gideon circled around by the caravan route east of Nobah and Jabbaha, taking the Midianite army by surprise. Zeba and Zalmunna, the two Midianite kings, fled, but Gideon chased them down and captured all their warriors. After this, Gideon returned from the battle by the way of the Harris Pass. That cut off. There he captured a young man from Succoth and demanded that he write down the names of all the 77 officials and elders in the town. Gideon then returned to Succoth and said to the leaders, "Here are Zeba and Zalmunna. When they were here before you taunted me, saying, 'Catch Zeba and Zalmunna first, and then they will feed your exhausted army.'" Then Gideon took the elders of the town and taught them a lesson by punishing them with horns and briars from the wilderness. He also tore down the tower of Peniel and killed all the men in the town. Then Gideon asked Zeba and Zalmunna, "The men you killed at Tabor, what are they like?" "Like you," they replied. They all had the look of a king's son. They were my brothers, the sons of my own mother. Gideon exclaimed, "As surely as the Lord lives, I wouldn't kill you if you hadn't killed them." Turning to Jether, his oldest son, he said, "Kill them." But Jether did not draw his sword, for he was only a boy and was afraid. Then Zeba and Zalmunna said to Gideon, "Be a man, kill us yourself." So Gideon killed them both and took the royal ornaments from the necks of their camels. Then the Israelites said to Gideon, "Be our ruler. You and your son and your grandson will be our rulers, for you have rescued us from Midian." But Gideon replied, "I will not rule over you, nor rule my son. The Lord will rule over you. However, I do have one request, that each of you give me an earring from the plunder you collected from your fallen enemies." "Gladly," they said. They spread out a cloak, and each one threw a gold earring he had gathered from the plunder. The weight of the gold earring was 43 pounds, not including the weight of the earring. 43-pound earring? Whose earring is that, Goliath? You guys' comments are wild. 43-pound earring. What in the world? The purple clothing worn by the kings of Midian and the chains around the necks of their camels. Gideon made a sacred ephod from the gold and put it in Ophrah, his hometown. But soon all the Israelites prostituted themselves by worshiping it, and it became a trap for Gideon and his family. So Gideon started strong, but did not end good. He made a sacred thing that everyone started worshiping. That is the story of how the people of Israel defeated the Midianites, which they never recovered. Throughout the rest of Gideon's lifetime, about 40 years, there was peace in the land. Then Gideon, son of Joash, returned home. He had 70 sons born to him, for he had many wives. He also had a concubine in Shechem who gave birth to a son whom he named Abimelech. Gideon died when he was very old, and he was buried in the grave of his father Joash at Ophrah in the land of the clan of Ophrah. Not Oprah. Jeez. Ophrah in the land of the clan. I was like, I didn't know Oprah's name was biblical. There's no way. Ophrah. As soon as Gideon died, the Israelites prostituted themselves by worshiping the images of Baal, making Baal Bereth their god. So again, the guy that was a judge dies, he will prostitute himself. They forgot the Lord their God, who had rescued them from all their enemies surrounding them. Highlight that. Never forget the Lord your God. How easy we forget. Nor did they show any loyalty to the family of Jerub Baal, that is Gideon, despite all the goods he had done for Israel. Wow, that's a sad ending. That's a sad ending. Chapter 9. Abimelech's rule over Shechem. One day Gideon's son Abimelech went down to Shechem to visit his uncles, his mother's brothers. He said to them and to the rest of his mother's family, "Ask the leading citizens of Shechem whether they want to be ruled over by 70 of Gideon's sons or by one man. And remember that I am your own flesh and blood." So Abimelech's uncles gave this message to all the citizens of Shechem on his behalf. And after listening to this proposal, the people of Shechem decided in favor of Abimelech because he was a relative. They gave him 70 silver coins from the temple of Baal Bereth, which he used to hire some reckless troublemakers who agreed to follow him. He went to his father's home at Ophrah, and there, on stone, they killed all 70 of his half-brothers, the sons of Gideon. But the youngest brother, Jotham, escaped and hid. Then all the leading citizens of Shechem and Beth Millo called a meeting under the oak of the pillar at Shechem and made Abimelech their king. When Jotham heard about this, he climbed to the top of Mount Gerizim and shouted, "Listen to me, citizens of Shechem. Listen to me if you want God to listen to you. Once upon a time, the trees decided to choose a king." What kind of phrase is that? Once upon a time, the trees? Who would believe that? First, they said to the olive tree, "Be our king." But the olive tree, what did somebody just say? You guys are just distracting me from the comments. Once upon a time, the trees decided to choose a king. First they said to the olive tree, "Be our king." But the olive tree refused, saying, "Should I quit producing the olive oil that blesses both God and the people just to wave back and forth over the trees?" Then they said to the fig tree, "Be our king." But the fig tree refused, saying, "Should I stop producing my sweet fruit just to wave back and forth over the trees?" Then they said to the grapevine, "Be our king." But the grapevine also refused, saying, "Should I quit producing the wine that cheers both God and people just to wave back and forth over the trees?" Then all the trees finally turned to the thorn bush and said, "Come, you be our king." And the thorn bush replied to the trees, "If you truly want to make me your king, come back and take the shelter in my shade. If not, let fire come out from and devour the cedars of Lebanon." Jotham continued, "Now make sure you've acted honorably and in good faith by making Abimelech your king, and that you've done right by Gideon and all of his descendants. Have you treated him with the honor he deserves for all that he accomplished? For he fought for you and risked his life and rescued you from the Midianites. But today you've revolted against my father and his descendants, killing his 70 sons one on one stone. And you've chosen the slave woman's son Abimelech to be your king just because he's your relative. If you've acted honorably and in good faith towards Gideon and his descendants today, then you may find joy in Abimelech, and he may find joy in you. But if you've not acted in good faith, then may fire come out from Abimelech and devour the leading citizens of Shechem and Beth Millo, and fire come out from the citizens of Shechem and Beth Millo and devour Abimelech." Then Jotham escaped and lived in Beer because he was afraid of his brother Abimelech. After Abimelech had ruled over Israel for 3 years, God sent a spirit that stirred up trouble between Abimelech and the leading citizens of Shechem, and they revolted. God was punishing Abimelech for murdering Gideon's 70 sons and the citizens of Shechem for supporting him in this treachery of murdering his brothers. The citizens of Shechem set an ambush for Abimelech on the hilltops and robbed everyone who passed by that way. But someone warned Abimelech about their pilot. One day, Gaal, son of Ebed, moved to Shechem with his brothers and gained the confidence of leading the citizens of Shechem. During the annual harvest festival at Shechem, held in the temple of the local god, the wine flowed freely, and everyone began cursing Abimelech. "Who is Abimelech?" Gaal shouted. "He's not a true son of Shechem, so why should we be his servants? He's merely the son of Gideon, and this Zebul is merely his deputy. Serve the true sons of Hamor, the founder of Shechem. Why should we serve Abimelech? If I were in charge here, I would get rid of Abimelech. I would say to him, 'Get some soldiers and come out and fight.'" But when Zebul, the leader of the city, heard what Gaal was saying, he was furious. He sent messengers to Abimelech in Arama, telling him, "Gaal, son of Ebed, and his brothers have come to live in Shechem, and now they're inciting the city to rebel against you. Come by night with an army and hide out in the fields. In the morning, as soon as it's daylight, attack the city. When Gaal and those who are with him come out against you, you can do what you want, do with them as you wish." So Abimelech and all his men went by night and split into 4 groups, stationing themselves around Shechem. Gaal was standing at the city gates when Abimelech and his army came out of hiding. When Gaal saw them, he said to Zebul, "Look, these people are coming down from the hilltops." Zebul replied, "It's just the shadows on the hills that look like men." But again, Gaal said, "No, people are coming down from the hills, and another group is coming down the road past Diviner's Oak." Then Zebul turned and asked him, "Now where's that big mouth of yours?" "Oh, those are fighting words. Wasn't it you that said, 'Who is Abimelech, and why should we be his servants?' These men you mocked are right outside the city. Go and fight them." So Gaal led the leading citizens of Shechem into battle against Abimelech. But Abimelech chased him, and many of Shechem's men were wounded and fell along the road as they retreated to the city gate. Abimelech returned to Arama, and Zebul drove Gaal and his brothers out of Shechem. The next day, the people of Shechem went out into the fields to battle. When Abimelech heard about it, he divided his men in 3 groups and set an ambush in the fields. Then Abimelech said, "The people coming out of the city," and his men jumped up from hiding places and attacked them. Abimelech and his group stormed the city gate to keep the men of Shechem from getting back in, while Abimelech's other 2 groups cut them down in the fields. The battle went on all day before Abimelech finally captured the city. He killed the people, leveled the city, and scattered salt all over the ground. When the leading citizens who lived in the tower of Shechem heard what had happened, they ran and hid in the temple of Baal Bereth. Someone reported to Abimelech that the citizens had gathered in the temple. So he led his forces to Mount Zalmon. He took an axe and chopped some branches from the tree and put the rest on his shoulder. "Quick, do as I've done," he told his men. So each of them cut down some branches, following Abimelech's example. They piled the branches against the walls of the temple and set them on fire. So all the people who lived in the tower of Shechem died, about 1,000 men and women. Then Abimelech attacked the town of Thebez and captured it. There was a strong tower inside the town, and all the men and women, the entire population, fled to it. They barricaded themselves in and climbed up to the roof of the tower. Abimelech followed them to attack the tower, But as he prepared to set fire to the entrance, a woman on the roof dropped a millstone that landed on Abimelech's head and crushed his skull. He quickly said to his young armor bearer, "Draw your sword and kill me. Don't let it be said that a woman killed Abimelech." So the young man ran him through with his sword, and he died. When Abimelech's men saw he was dead, they disbanded and returned to their homes. In this way, God punished Abimelech for the evil he had done against the fathers, murdering his 70 brothers. He also punished the men of Shechem for all their evil, so the curse of Jotham, son of Gideon, was fulfilled. All right, that was a long chapter, 57 verses. Chapter 10. Tola becomes Israel's judge. After Abimelech died, Tola, son of Puah, son of Dodo, was the next person to rescue Israel. He was from the tribe of Issachar, but lived in the town of Shamir in the hill country of Ephraim. He judged Israel for 23 years, and when he died, he was buried in Shamir. After Tola died, so Tola wasn't very memorable because that's all he got right there. That's it. He's done. Jair becomes Israel's judge. After Tola died, Jair from Gilead judged Israel for 22 years. His 30 sons rode around on 30 donkeys, and they owned 30 towns in the land of Gilead, which are still called the towns of Jair. When Jair died, he was buried in Kaman. Again, the Israelites did evil in the sight of the Lord. So this is the theme again. Again, now they have no judge. They do evil. They served the images of Baal and Ashtoreth, the gods of Aram, Sidon, Moab, Ammon, and Philistia. They abandoned the Lord and no longer served him at all. So the Lord burned up with anger against Israel, and he turned them over to the Philistines and the Ammonites, who began to oppress them that year. For 18 years, they oppressed all of the Israelites east of the Jordan River in the land of the Amorites, that is in Gilead. The Ammonites crossed the west of the Jordan and attacked Judah, Benjamin, and Ephraim. The Israelites were in great distress. Finally, they cried out to the Lord for help, saying, "We have sinned against you because we've abandoned you as our God, and have served the images of Baal." The Lord replied, "Did I not rescue you from the Egyptians, the Amorites, the Ammonites, and the Philistines, the Sidonians, the Amalekites, and the Maonites? When they oppressed you and you cried out to me for help, and I rescued you? Yet you've abandoned me and served other gods, so I will not rescue you anymore. Go and cry out to the gods that you have chosen. Let them rescue you in your hour of distress." But the Israelites pleaded with the Lord and said, "We have sinned. Punish us as you see fit. Only rescue us today from our enemies." Then the Israelites put aside their foreign gods and served the Lord, and he was grieved by their misery. At that time, the armies of Ammon had gathered for war and were camped in Gilead, and the people of Israel assembled and camped at Mizpah. The leaders of Gilead said to each other, "Whoever attacks the Ammonites first will become the ruler over all the people of Gilead." Chapter 11. Now Jephthah of Gilead was a great warrior. He was the son of Gilead, but his mother was a prostitute. Gilead's wife also had several sons, and when their half-brothers grew up, they chased Jephthah off the land. "You'll not get any of our father's inheritance," they said, "for you are the son of a prostitute." So Jephthah fled from his brothers and lived in the land of Tob. Soon he had a band of worthless rebels following him. About that time, the Ammonites began their war against Israel. When the Ammonites attacked, the elders of Gilead sent for Jephthah in the land of Tob. The elders said, "Come and be our commander. Help us fight the Ammonites." But Jephthah said, "Aren't you the ones who hated me and drove me from my father's house? Why do you come to me now when you're in trouble?" "Because we need you," the elder said. "If you lead us in battle against the Ammonites, we'll make you ruler over the people of Gilead." Jephthah said to the elders, "Let me get this straight. If I come with you, and if the Lord gives me victory over the Ammonites, will you really make me ruler over all the people?" "The Lord is our witness," the elders replied. "We promise to do whatever you say." So Jephthah went with the elders of Gilead, and the people made him their ruler and commander of the army. At Mizpah, in the presence of the Lord, Jephthah repeated what he had said to the elders. When Jephthah, I'm saying that right? Am I saying that right? When Jephthah sent messengers to the king of Ammon, asking, "Why have you come out to fight against my land?" The king of Ammon answered, "Jephthah's messengers, when the Israelites came out of Egypt, they stole my land from the Arnon River to the Jabbok River and all the way to Jordan. Now then, give back the land peaceably." Jephthah sent this message to the Ammonite king. This is what Jephthah says: "Israel did not steal any land from Moab or Ammon. When the people of Israel arrived at Kadesh on their journey from Egypt, after crossing the Red Sea, they sent messengers to the king of Edom asking for permission to pass through his land, but their request was denied. Then they asked the king of Moab for similar permission, but he wouldn't let them pass through either. So the people of Israel stayed in Kadesh. Finally, they went around Edom and Moab through the wilderness. They traveled along Moab's eastern border and camped on the other side of the Arnon River, but they never once crossed the Arnon River into Moab, for the Arnon was the border of Moab. Then Israel sent messengers to King Sihon of the Amorites, who ruled from the Heshbon, asking for permission to cross through his land to get to their destination. But King Sihon didn't trust Israel to pass through his land. Instead, he mobilized his army at Jahaz and attacked them. But the Lord, the God of Israel, gave his people victory over King Sihon. So Israel took control of all the land of the Amorites who lived in that region, from the Arnon River to the Jabbok River, and from the eastern wilderness to the Jordan. So you see, it was the Lord, the God of Israel, who took away the land from the Amorites and gave it to Israel. Why then should we give it back to you? You keep whatever your god Chemosh gives you, and I'll keep whatever the Lord our God gives us. Are you any better than Balak, son of Zippor, king of the Moab? Did he try to make a case against Israel for disputed land? Did he go to war against them? Israel has been living here for 300 years, inhabiting Heshbon and its surrounding settlements, all the way to Arar and its settlements, and all the towns along the Arnon River. Why have you made no effort to recover it before now? Therefore, I have not sinned against you. Rather, you have wronged me by attacking me. Let the Lord, who is judge, decide today which of us is right, Israel or Ammon. But the king of Ammon paid no attention to Jephthah's message. At that time, the Spirit of the Lord came upon Jephthah, and he went throughout the land of Gilead and Manasseh, including Mizpah and Gilead, and from there he led an army against the Ammonites. And Jephthah made a vow to the Lord. He said, if you give me victory over the Ammonites, I will give to the Lord whatever comes out of my house to meet me when I return in triumph. I will sacrifice it as a burnt offering. So Jephthah led his army against the Ammonites, and the Lord gave him victory. He crushed the Ammonites, devastating about 20 towns from Ur to the area in Minnith, and as far as the Ebal Karamim. In this way, Israel defeated the Ammonites. When Jephthah returned home to Mizpah, his daughter came out to meet him, playing on a tambourine and dancing for joy. She was his one and only child, and he had no other sons or daughters. When he saw her, he tore his clothes in anguish. Oh, my daughter, he cried out. You've completely destroyed me. You brought disaster on me, for I've made a vow to the Lord, and I cannot take it back. And she said, Father, if you made a vow to the Lord, you must do to me what you vowed, for the Lord has given you a great victory over your enemies, the Ammonites. But first, let me do one thing. Let me go up and roam in the hills and weep with my friends for 2 months, because I will die a virgin. You may go, Jephthah said. And he sent her away for 2 months. She and her friends went in the hills and wept because she would never have children. When she returned home, her father kept her vow he'd made, and she died a virgin. So it became a custom in Israel for the young Israelite woman to go away for 4 days each year to lament for the fate of Jephthah's daughter. Ouch. I missed the vow. What was the vow that he made? Let's see. Oh, if you give me victory, I'll give the Lord whatever comes out of my house to meet me when I return in triumph. Oh, okay, that's the vow. So he said, if you give me victory, whatever comes out of my house when I get home, I'll sacrifice it as a burnt offering. Oh, that's so brutal. I don't know how I missed that. I guess it was just 2 sentences there, but that's so brutal. Man, that's sad. Ugh. Chapter 12. When the people of Ephraim mobilized in an army, and you know what? I'm going to actually add as well the chapter that we're on from now on. I'll put it like somewhere on screen so that when people jump in live, they know exactly where we are. So I just realized I'll add that later. All right, and then the people of Ephraim mobilized in an army and crossed over the Jordan River to Zaphon. They sent this message to Jephthah. Why didn't you call for us to help you fight against the Ammonites? We are going to burn down your house with you in it. Jephthah replied, I summoned you at the beginning of the dispute, but you refused to come. You failed to help us in our struggle against Ammon. So when I realized you weren't coming, I risked my life and went to battle without you, and the Lord gave me victory over the Ammonites. So why have you not come to fight me? The people of Ephraim responded, you men of Gilead are nothing more than fugitives from Ephraim and Manasseh. So Jephthah gathered all the men of Gilead and attacked the men of Ephraim and defeated them. Jephthah captured the shallow crossings of the Jordan River, and whenever a fugitive from Ephraim tried to go back across, the men of Gilead would challenge him. Are you members of the tribe of Ephraim? They would ask. If the man said, no, I'm not, they would tell him to say Shibboleth. If he was from Ephraim, he would say Sibboleth, because people from Ephraim cannot pronounce the word correctly. I must be from Ephraim. Then they would take him and kill him at the shallow crossings of the Jordan. In all, 42,000 Ephraimites were killed at that time. So they literally got killed for not pronouncing a word right. I would be dead. Jephthah judged Israel for 6 years. When he died, he was buried in one of the towns of Gilead. After Jephthah died, Ibzan from Bethlehem judged Israel. He had 30 sons and 30 daughters. Wow, that's a lot of kids. He sent his daughters to marry men outside his clan, and he brought in 30 young women from outside the clan to marry his sons. Ibzan judged Israel for 7 years, and when he died, he was buried in Bethlehem. After Ibzan died, Elon from the tribe of Zebulun judged Israel for 10 years. When he died, he was buried at Ajalon in Zebulun. After Elon died, Abdon, son of Hillel from Parathon, judged Israel. He had 40 sons and 30 grandsons. He rode on 70 donkeys, and he judged Israel for 8 years. When he died, he was buried at Parathon in Ephraim in the hill country of the Amalekites. Chapter 13. The birth of Samson. Again, the Israelites did evil in the Lord's sight. So the Lord handed them over to the Philistines, who oppressed them for 40 years. Let me move my seat here. In those days, a man named Manoah from the tribe of Dan lived in the town of Zorah. His wife was unable to become pregnant, and they had no children. The angel of the Lord appeared to Manoah's wife and said, "Even though you've been unable to have children, you'll soon become pregnant and give birth to a son. So be careful. You must not drink any wine or any other alcoholic drink, nor eat any forbidden fruit. You'll become pregnant and give birth to a son, and his hair must never be cut, for he'll be dedicated to the Lord as a Nazirite from birth. He'll begin to rescue Israel from the Philistines." The woman ran and told her husband, "A man of God appeared to me. He looked like one of God's angels, terrifying to see. I didn't ask where he was from, and he didn't tell me his name. But he told me that you'll become pregnant and give birth to a son. You must not drink wine or any other alcoholic drink, nor eat any forbidden food. For your son will be dedicated to God as a Nazirite from the moment of his birth until the day of his death." Then Manoah prayed to the Lord, saying, "Lord, please let the man of God come back to us again and give us more instructions about the son who is to be born." God answered Manoah's prayer, and the angel of the Lord of God appeared once again to his wife as she was sitting in the field. But her husband Manoah was not with her. So she quickly ran and told her husband, "The man who appeared to me the other day is here again." Manoah ran back with his wife and asked, "Are you the man who spoke to my wife the other day?" "Yes," he replied, "I am." Excuse me. So Manoah asked him, "When your words come true, what kind of rules should govern the boy's life and work?" And the angel of the Lord replied, "Be sure your wife follows the instructions I gave her. She must not eat grapes or raisins, drink wine or any other alcoholic drink, or eat any forbidden food." Then Manoah said to the angel of the Lord, "Please stay here until we can prepare a young goat for you to eat." "I will stay," the angel of the Lord replied, "but I'll not eat anything. However, you may prepare a burnt offering as sacrifice to the Lord." Manoah didn't realize it was the angel of the Lord. Then Manoah asked the angel of the Lord, "What is your name? When all this comes true, we want to honor you." "Why do you ask my name?" the angel of the Lord replied. "It is too wonderful for you to understand." Then Manoah took a young goat and a grain offering and offered it on a rock as a sacrifice to the Lord. And as Manoah and his wife watched, the Lord did an amazing thing. As the flames from the altar shot up towards the sky, the angel of the Lord ascended in the fire. When Manoah and his wife saw this, they fell to their faces to the ground. The angel did not appear again to Manoah and his wife. Manoah finally realized it was the angel of the Lord. And he said to his wife, "We will certainly die, for we have seen God." But his wife said, "If the Lord was going to kill us, he wouldn't have accepted our burnt offering and grain offering. Duh. He wouldn't have appeared to us and told us this wonderful thing and done these miracles." When their son was born, she named him Samson, and the Lord blessed him as he grew up. And the Spirit of the Lord began to stir him while he lived in Mahanadan, which is located between the towns of Zorah and Eshtel. Chapter 14, Samson's riddle. One day when Samson was in Timnah, one of the Philistines' women caught his eye. Philistine women, yes, caught his eye. When he returned home, he told his father and mother, "A young Philistine woman in Timnah caught my eye. I want to marry her and get her for me." His father and mother objected. "Isn't there even one woman in our tribe or among all the Israelites you can marry?" They asked. "Why must you go to the pagan Philistines to find a wife?" But Samson told his father, "Get her for me. She looks good to me." I mean, okay, whatever works. His father and mother didn't realize the Lord was at work in this, creating an opportunity to work against the Philistines who ruled over Israel. Then Samson and his parents were going down to Timnah. A young lion suddenly attacked Samson near the vineyards of Timnah. At that moment, the Spirit of the Lord came powerfully upon him, and he ripped the lion's jaw apart with his bare hands. He did it as easily as if it were a young goat, but he didn't tell his father or mother about it. When Samson arrived in Timnah, he talked with the woman and was very pleased with her. Later, he returned to Timnah for the wedding. He turned off the path to look at the carcass of the lion, and he found that a swarm of bees had made some honey in the carcass. He scooped some of the honey. I mean, this guy was like a man's man. He scooped some of the honey into his hands and ate it along the way. He also gave some to his father and mother, and they ate it. But he didn't tell them he had taken the honey from the carcass of the lion. As his father was making final arrangements for the marriage, Samson threw a party at Timnah, as was the custom for elite young men. When the bride's parents saw him, they selected 30 young men from the town to be his companions. Samson said to them, "Let me tell you a riddle. If you solve my riddle during the 7 days of the celebration, I'll give you 35 fine linen robes and 30 sets of festive clothing. But if you can't solve it, you must give me 30 fine linen robes and 30 sets of festive clothing. All right, they said, let's hear your riddle. So he said, out of the one who eats came something to eat. Out of the strong came something sweet. 3 days later, they were still trying to figure it out. On the 4th day, they said to Samson's wife, entice your husband to explain the riddle for us, or we'll burn down your father's house with you in it. Did you invite us to the party just to make us poor? So Samson's wife came to him in tears and said, you don't love me. You hate me. Has anyone's wife ever said this to them? You have given my people a riddle, but you haven't told me the answer. I haven't even given the answer to my father or mother, he replied. Why should I tell you? So she cried whenever she was with him and kept it up for the rest of the celebration. At last, on the 7th day, he told her the answer because she was tormenting him with her nagging. Then she explained the riddle to the young men. So before the sunset of the 7th day, the men of the town came to Samson with the answer. What is sweeter than honey? What is stronger than a lion? Samson replied, if you hadn't plowed with my heifer, you wouldn't have solved my riddle. What in the world? What does that even mean? Then the Spirit of the Lord came powerfully upon him. He went down to the town of Ashkelon, killed 30 men, took their belongings, and gave their clothing to the men who had solved the riddle. But Samson was furious about what had happened, and he went back home to live with his father and mother. So his wife was given in marriage to the man who had been Samson's best man at the wedding. What? So his best man married his wife because of riddle? What in the world is going on over here? Chapter 15. Samson's vengeance on the Philistines. Later on, during the wheat harvest, Samson took a young goat as a present to his wife. He said, I'm going into my wife's room to sleep with her, but her father wouldn't let him in. I truly thought you must hate her, her father explained. So I gave her in marriage to your best man. But look, her younger sister is even more beautiful than she is. Marry her instead. Samson said, this time I cannot be blamed for everything I'm going to do to you and the Philistines. And then he went out and caught 300 foxes. He tied their tails together in pairs and fastened a torch to each pair of the tails. He lit the torches and let the foxes run through the grain fields of the Philistines. He burned all the grain to the ground, including the sheaves and the uncut grain. He also destroyed their vineyard and olive groves. Who did this? The Philistine demanded. Samson, was the reply, because his father-in-law from Timnah gave Samson's wife to be married to his best man. So the Philistines went out and got the woman and her father and burned them to death. Because you did this, Samson vowed, I won't rest until I take my revenge on you. So he attacked the Philistines with great fury and killed many of them, then went to live in the cave of Edom. The Philistines retaliated by setting up camp in Judah and spreading out near the town of Lehi. The men of Judah asked the Philistines, why are you attacking us? The Philistines replied, we've come to capture Samson. We've come to pay him back for what he's done to us. So 3,000 men of Judah went down to get Samson at a cave in the rock of Edom. They said to Samson, don't you realize the Philistines rule over us? What are you doing to us? But Samson said, I only did to them what they did to me. But then the men of Judah told him, we've come to you to tie you up and hand you over to the Philistines. All right, Samson said, but promise that you won't kill me yourselves. We will only tie you up and hand you over to the Philistines, they replied. We won't kill you. So they tied him up and put 2 new ropes on him and brought him from the rock. As Samson arrived at Lehi, the Philistines came shouting at triumph, but the Spirit of the Lord came powerfully upon Samson, and he snapped the ropes in his arms as they were burnt strands of flax, and they fell from his wrists. And then he found the jawbone of a recently killed donkey. He picked it up and killed 1,000 Philistines with it. Then Samson said, with the jawbone of a donkey, I've piled them in heaps. With the jawbone of a donkey, I've killed 1,000 men. Then he finished boasting. He threw away the jawbone, and the place was named Jawbone Hill. Samson was now very thirsty, and he cried out to the Lord, you've accomplished this great victory by the strength of your servant. Must I now die of thirst and fall into the hands of these pagans? So God caused water to gush out of a hollow in the ground of Lehi. And Samson was revived as he drank. Then he named that place the spring of the one who cried out. And it's still in Lehi to this day. Samson judged Israel for 20 years during the period when the Philistines dominated the land. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have concluded our reading for day number 18. Day number 18 is done. You can stretch out. We're done. We're done. I apologize for all the technical difficulties, but it's really not my fault. There's nothing I can do about it. But at least we got it all fixed. I'll get the other one deleted and fix it all up after. Thank you guys so much for being here. We're going to be live again tonight at 6 o'clock for our podcast interview with Christina Costanza, who, if you don't know, She had a show on the Travel Channel about ghost hunting, and God radically saved her. So we're going to be talking about the supernatural, the deception that she was in. I know some of you.
All right, that is it for day 18 of the 90-day Bible challenge. I will be back within an hour, hour and a half for the we're gonna watch the Brandon Tatum's review of the debate between Andrew Wilson and Candace Owens. So come back for that one. Thank you. God bless you. Love you all.